What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and in this video I want to be talking about why you should not create an LLC for your failing business. Now, what do I mean by failing business? If you're doing an online side hustle, right? Let's say what's trending right now is creating NFTs, and you're making some money, and then you're like, you know what, I want to turn this into a legit business. So you file an LLC, but then by the end of the year nobody's doing NFTs anymore, so now your business is failing, right? A lot of people just abandon their LLCs. They stop paying the fees that you need to make sure that it's registered with the state, and they just abandon them. So that's what I want to cover today. So if you have an online side hustle or a little small business, you need to really ask yourself, do you really need an LLC, right? The answer for most people is going to be no, you don't need to create an LLC, because that's going to cost you a lot of money to even create one, which is what I'm going to cover. And there's also a lot of misconceptions about LLCs. So I'm going to cover a bit of those in this video that I think are important at least. So one of the first thing is a lot of people think that they're going to save on taxes by creating an LLC. So let's start by using a solid example. I have a YouTube channel, right? And I get paid from YouTube. Now, let's say I make like 500 bucks a month from my YouTube videos. So I receive my tax file from YouTube that says I made this much money. This is what I can use to file for taxes, right? So when I file for taxes, I'm filing as a sole proprietor, right? I'm not an LLC. I just made some money from YouTube, and I'm going to file taxes on that money. Now, you're going to be filing it on the Schedule C part of your 1040. And once you do that, you pay your taxes. Now, what do you actually file? You're going to be, recording your revenues as well as your expenses. So if you have business expenses that you can deduct, you're going to be able to do that. Now, let's look at the opposite side of this. Let's say I had an LLC. What would the process be? It'd be the same process. I have my tax forms, I report my revenues, and I have my expenses if I have any business expenses. So the same thing. So having an LLC is not going to give you a tax advantage over someone who's a sole proprietor. Now, if we look at even the expenses of both people, so if I'm just making YouTube videos, I just get on camera, I make a video, and I get ad revenue from the video. When it's time to pay taxes, I pay however much I owe, and that's it. Now, if you have an LLC, you're going to have additional fees, right? This can start from even setting up the LLC and even maintaining the LLC. And I'm going to cover some of those things. To even set it up, there's a lot of paperwork that is needed and paperwork that you need to maintain. So one of the first things, we can start with the filing fee, right? If you're filing for your LLC, the amount is going to be different for every state, but you have to pay a fee in order to own an LLC in any state, right? And this is in addition to files like the articles of organization, statement of information, and you even have to create an LLC operating agreement as well, how it's going to operate, who's involved in the LLC, what is the structure. So these are legal documents that need to be really accurate. So what do a lot of people do? They outsource the creation of those documents. So sometimes people use online services like maybe LegalZoom, and there's a bunch of other ones online that you can use, and you can find different pricings and things they're going to be able to do. Do you want an articles of organization? Do you want a statement of information? Do you want us to create an LLC operating agreement? They have like those packages that you can purchase, and they can get really, really expensive. Some of these organizations even offer you a registered agent. So when you're creating an LLC, you can be the registered agent, or you can subscribe to a service that's going to charge you annually in order for them to be your registered agent, right? So what does a registered agent do? If there's any legal action such as a lawsuit, the information is going to be sent to the registered agent, right? Because they have their address on file and location, right? So if you don't want to be the person to receive that information, there's these services that you can subscribe, and they can get really expensive because you're paying them annually in order for them to be your registered agent. Now, let's say you have, all the documents set up and things like that. You want to open bank accounts. Maybe you're looking for financing options and things like that. You need to be able to certify your LLC operating agreement, which also costs money. Now, also another random fact, like if you change your operating agreement, you have to refile that operating agreement in order so that the information is updated. So you don't want to have different information in terms of what you have, which is current, and what is filed with the state, right? So you want to make sure that that is updated. So those online services are going to be able to do that for you, but they're going to charge you a lot of money. So you can already tell that this is going to come with a lot of maintenance costs, right? You have to pay the state LLC annual taxes if that's charged in your state. You have to, if you make any changes to the business, you have to make sure that all of those documents are updated, because those are legal documents. Now, some of the things that might be a little annoying is, let's say you were using your social security to open maybe a business account. They say when you get paid from YouTube, You set up a PayPal account in your maybe your future business name, right? You didn't have an LLC, but you just opened a PayPal account just because you wanted to separate the two amounts. Or maybe you have a bank account dedicated to your business, but when you open that bank account, you use your social security number, right? So whenever you have your LLC, you also need an employer identification number, also known as an EIN number. And this is essentially a social security for your business. Now you have to open new bank accounts using that employer identification number, using the actual business name. So the old accounts might be under your social security number and your actual name, right? Now you have to open new accounts using that number as well as the actual business name, right? Because you want to be able to separate yourself from the LLC itself, right? Now, one of the biggest things that a lot of people love about LLCs is that they're gonna protect you from liability, from some liability, which is true. So if your business is in trouble, they're not gonna be able to get to your personal assets. Now, one of the things that a lot of people do not fully understand is that you're still going to be liable for the actions if you do something illegal within the LLC. You're going to be liable for that. So I'll give you a good example. Last year or 2 years ago, the past 2 years, when it came to the PPP loans, you had people that created LLCs, and they were, getting the PPP loan money, and they were going to buy Lamborghinis, they're buying houses, they're just doing stupid things with the money, right? Those people are getting arrested, right? If they thought that the LLC was going to protect them from getting arrested because it's technically the LLC that's applying for those loans, you're still going to be liable for personal actions that you commit within the LLCs. So if you're doing credit card scams and loans and things like that, thinking that the LLC is going to protect you because it's its own separate entity from you, right? If you're thinking that they're going to arrest the LLC, no, they're going to be arresting you for doing that. So I feel like that's one thing that people overlook. They hear that if you have an LLC, it's separate from you, it's a separate entity, then it's going to get in trouble. And they're like, oh, let me commit some crime using the LLC name, and the LLC is going to be in trouble. They're not going to get to me. No. And also another thing, which is separate from the PPP loan money, because they were just giving money to everyone. I don't think they were fully verifying these businesses and things like that. But in a normal situation, lenders aren't going to give money to just a new LLC, right? Unless it's like a special program for new businesses, regular lenders are not going to give you loans and money. We're talking about banks, you're talking about investors and things like that. Your business does not have any financial history in order for someone to even review the health of your business. And if it's just like a small business that you're doing online, most of the time people don't even have a comprehensive business plan that entails like how they're going to get revenue, what are some of the costs, they just think that I have an LLC now, I can apply for a business credit card, I can get credit lines. No, you need financial history that shows that your company is healthy, is not risky. Now the PPP loan thing is a whole separate thing where they're just giving money to everyone that claim that they had a business with employees and things like that. All right, so what is the moral of this entire video? What I'm saying is, do not start an LLC for a dying business. Create a business plan, comprehensive business plan, where you can assess some of the risks you're going to be taking, the cost, the potential revenue, and things like that. But if you're not able to create that with your business, maybe it's a little side hustle you're doing online, there's no reason for you to create an LLC, because what you're going to do is you're creating an LLC for a dying business, a business that's not going to be around for the next 6 months. Why not just be a sole proprietor? Get your money and file your taxes. You don't have to, have these LLC filing fees and things like that. All right, so my advice is you need proof of concept before you convert a business into a legal entity. Have proof of concept, have a business plan, see that you're going to be generating this revenue. And sometimes it's even a dollar amount. If you have, let's say, a YouTube and you start making like, $40,000-$50,000 a year, then yes, you can turn that into a business. If you're making like $1,000, $5,000, are you really gonna continue doing that for a long time? So is there really a reason to turn that into a legal entity? There's probably no reason, and it's gonna cost you way more money than just being a sole proprietor. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.